Good afternoon, my name is Benedetto and I'm the founder of Glasgow-based design and branding agency The LOFT, and this is the latest in our series Resurgence, which is a video podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners and organisational leaders to help them turn this crisis into something positive for the future. Today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Duke MBE. He is the founder and CEO of Street Soccer. It's an incredible, Street Soccer Scotland, I should say. It's an incredible charity and he's done an amazing job. So firstly, David, a huge thank you for being with us. How are you getting on? And tell us, you can describe Street Soccer Scotland so much better than I can. So
yeah, well, first of all, I'm keeping well, I'm keeping safe, trying to work alongside kind of government recommendations and making sure that I'm kind of doing the right things and keeping not only myself but others safe with my actions, and it's been challenging, like for everyone. I feel I'm a bit more fortunate that I've still got a kind of job to do, and I've not been furloughed, and I've been keeping busy during the period, and I can only imagine what some other people are going through, whether it be as a result of kind of losing jobs or losing purpose or losing connection with family and friends and stuff like that. So it's been tough, but I'm okay, and I say Street Soccer is an organisation which was set up to bring people together. We do that by creating football sessions and support sessions for people who are experiencing various forms of challenges in life, whether it be homelessness, mental health recovery or addiction recovery, and just generally people who are kind of cut off a wee bit, and socially excluded. So our organisation was set up to do that, which means that lockdowns meant that it's almost kind of the total opposite of why we set up the organisation. So normally Street Soccer delivers a range of programmes across Scotland, from drop-in sessions to education programmes, volunteer programmes, football tournaments, women's programmes, with youth projects, with prison services. So we do a range of work trying to use football as that tool to initially get people involved, but then once people are involved, build on that and create positive opportunities and positive communities for people to be part of. And then through that, you see a kind of an organic and natural progression for people, just because they're more connected and they've got access to a wee bit of support and a wee bit of opportunity, which sometimes before lockdown we all kind of took for granted, being connected to people and stuff like that, and doing our kind of normal lives. But some of the experiences that people have felt during lockdown resonate on a kind of daily basis with some people who are living in crisis and or just generally cut off. So we've just kind of, like any business and any organisation, or charity, we've had to think fast and act fast based on obviously the restrictions put upon us in terms of what we can do and what we can't do. And very quickly after the kind of lockdown, came into play, we assembled the team virtually, and we created a menu of options where we could provide support for people, taking the football out of it. But then we looked at, right, okay, why does Street Soccer exist? What is it we're trying to achieve for people, or what we try to support people with? And that all comes to kind of people being healthy, people being secure, and people being connected. So, we started off with, all the team got in touch with all our players or all the projects that our players involved in, and just let them know that we're there initially to say, look, if there's anything you need, come and speak to us, we can support that. And as we built up those communications and conversations with players and projects, we quickly could see where some of the need came from. So for example, in Edinburgh, we've got we've got a partnership with YMCA where we're kind of putting out over 1,000 food packages out every week to players, to the families of players and people around the community. And we're doing other stuff like that across Scotland, but things like communication, not everyone's got access to digital, not everyone's got digital skills or even, a mobile phone, so we're providing smartphones for people, we're providing support with data packages, We've been arranging kind of regular Zoom check-ins and fitness sessions, and for people in recovery, you know, recovery chat groups and stuff like that, just quizzes, you know, trying to just keep people engaged and kind of focused and kind of motivated to a point, you know, and a wee bit of hope. And then a number of other things, such as, you know, whether it be emergency transport for people, food or housing supplies, you know, in terms of, we've set up a hardship fund where people can access an amount of money if they need to provide support during this difficult time. So we've basically just tried to do as much as we can and just kind of be there for them, you know, and our response has been kind of monitored and updated and changed on a kind of almost weekly basis based on need, you know, and we'll continue to do that as we're starting to move out of lockdown. You know, we've already started our plans for kind of socially distanced sports sessions and kind of football themed get-togethers, which we're currently piloting some of that just now.
See the different players and the sort of all the different people you serve. How they, I presume it's different in every case, but how in general, how's it been? How have they reacted to everything, and have you kept the communication going throughout this? Because I can't. It's been so challenging.
Yeah, I mean, what is, again, as you say, it's different. Everyone's in a different situation, you know. It could be someone who has their own house, but it's kind of maybe, you know, experiences mental health and stuff, so their isolation's increased. You know, they came to street soccer for a bit of community or a bit of friendship and support, you know, and that's been cut off. So, and then there's people living in supported housing or, you know, hostel environments where, you know, if one person has signs of COVID, then everyone's kind of isolated for 14 days. So there's different challenges there. And I think the main thing is that the players are missing is just that regular access to the football programs and the support programs. But as I say, there's a lot of organisations out there doing good things, you know, and many of our players are supported by a number of organisations for different things, you know. So where that's the case, the you know the sector as such is kind of really stepped up and really provided that support for everyone. So we've just tried to do our bit, and we've worked in partnership. We've been working with over 30 organisations across Scotland in terms of adding value to whatever they're doing and trying to add value to what we're doing by doing things together. And we've always done that. You know, that's not changed in terms of how we partnership work. But in the main, you know, I think one of the things that kind of, when speaking to some of the players, you know, so if you look at someone who's kind of before kind of COVID and stuff like that, you know, they were kind of maybe, I never use the word, no one's normal, right? So I don't like using the word normal, but you know, that it was common for people to be connected. So if you ask people, what did they miss, or what's been the biggest impact of COVID? So that could range from being cut off from loved ones and friends and family. It could be, you know, not being able to socialise and go to restaurants and go to cinema and blah, blah, blah. It could be the economic, you know, hardship, or the, you know, the economic, or the kind of people who are, you know, starting to be at risk, you know, in terms of financially insecure. But a lot of these things were already there for some of the people that we support. You know, some people don't have access to loved ones and a big kind of family network or friends network. Some people, you know, don't have the funds to go and socialise in restaurants, and again, people, there's a lot of people living in poverty. You know, so for a lot of people we support, a lot of the feelings, the general feelings, they've already experienced, you know, but this is the key thing for everyone is, you know, we need to come back together. Everyone needs human connection. You know, we all need a hug. You know, we all need to see people, and online's great. You know, digital's has been a real help. You know, but it's not the same. You know, you want to feel people. You know, you want to, you know, just be around people who care about you or who you care about. So that's the challenge, you know, and it's really difficult times for everyone. You know, been speaking to people from a host of different kind of situations, you know, and it's taking it slow, you know. But I think resilience is something that we see quite a lot in some of our players in terms of, you know, resilience gained due to sometimes trauma, unfortunately, you know, but sometimes, I'm speaking of myself here as well, you know, having experienced some of the challenges that people face, you know, there's a wee bit of resilience that keeps you okay through this, because you've kind of dealt with quite a lot of crisis during your time. Suppose you kind of revert back to your coping mechanisms and how you get through stuff, but for a lot of people who are struggling, they've maybe never experienced something like experience crisis in a way that we've all had to experience just now. So yeah, we're hoping that we can get back going, you know, and get back out there and give the players what they need.
I was thinking the first time when you've got non-contact, when you've got full contact and non-social distance games and stuff, I think there's probably going to be some crazy 50-50s going in. And
oh, I'll be first. Slide tackles here, there, and everywhere.
I bet you can't wait.
Yeah, I play fives on a Monday night, you know, and that's what some of the boys say. I play with my friends every Monday, and they're like, that's your game out. If there's no social contact, that's you. Because I just tackle people, basically.
You're just a big hacker.
That's a bit I like. No, I just tackle people. I just like the physical side of football.
It was weird. What's that, sorry?
It helps if you're 6'2".
Aye.
You've got a big ass for holding people up, but pushing people to the side.
It's really weird. I don't know if you've seen when the Bundesliga started, the very first weekend, everybody was celebrating goals in a sort of socially distant way, but I think it's starting to get a bit more normal now. I've seen folk hugging and a bit more of
Yeah, I watched it the first weekend, but it was just weird having no fans, you know. It's like watching like a training session almost, you know, because there was no, normally you watch football, you're kind of, as a viewer, you're kind of, you know, you interact with the noise which comes. So if you hear a roar, you kind of tune in more. Whereas I think I fell asleep during both games because I was sitting there watching, and it was fine. It's a good standard of football, but just never had that, you know, drama and atmosphere, and I kept falling asleep. So there you go.
Can I go back to something you said? And tell us if there's anything you can share. You mentioned coping mechanisms for crisis, and it's interesting. The people we've interviewed, most of them some of them are in the third sector. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, scale-up entrepreneurs. So they take companies and grow them really big, really fast. So it's just constant challenges, problem solving, and just getting over emotional impact really, really quickly to do something. And it was funny with Dean McRitchie, you probably know, who's the founder of MCR Pathways, and he was talking a little bit about how the importance of being calm, and how he jumps on his exercise bike to get himself calm, because he realizes that if he's not calm, he's going to transmit sort of panic across the 100 people that work for him, etc., or work for the organization. So I'm just wondering if there's anything you want to share that might be useful for people that haven't been through these sort of experiences before.
Yeah, I mean,
if there is anything, if not, we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're leading an organization, then it's important that you've got a clear mind, you know, and you've got kind of control in terms of, right, you've got a plan, you know, you've got your team beside you to help deliver that plan, and you just need to be you don't need to be on your game, you know, in terms of how I cope with crisis, you know, I just kind of focus on the here and now, you know. I try not to look too far ahead. I focus on things that I can have in it, things that I can physically impact on, you know, because there's a lot of stuff happening just now that you're powerless. And I think, you know, we all, as human beings, we always try to control things which are out of our control, you know, rather than just let, you know, the universe take its, you know, don't worry about the things you can't control, worry about things that you can control. And that's what I've always tried to do, and sometimes it's hard. You get sucked into social media, and you know, you're like, you compare what you're doing against, you know, it's just, you just try to just like, this is what I can do, and I'll try and do it to my best, and all the other stuff you just need to see what happens and just try to keep focused. But then, you know, I've experienced mental health and all that, and you know, I still do. You know, it's like, it's not something that goes away. Everyone experiences mental health, it's just that some people have different coping mechanisms, you know. And at the start, I started to get feel a bit anxious and stuff like that. and and the best way to kind of deal with that is to talk to somebody. So I spoke to a friend and just, we just chatted and it was fine. So it's, yeah, we're all experiencing stuff that we've never experienced, and say it's important that we look after ourselves. Because if you can't look after yourself, you can't look after other people. But the constant screen time, the constant kind of looking at things, and it's dangerous. So you need to just kind of switch off from it now and again, and say I go cycling as well, or I go running, or I even just go walking. Clear the head, have a think, try and switch off from work. Because we're all working from home. You're consumed by it. You're up at 8 in the morning, and straight away you're on the laptop. And then that just continues into the early evening. You need to find ways to find that balance, and I've kind of tried to do that recently. Because normally when you're at work, you go to a meeting at 9 and then you're travelling to the other side of the city for another meeting. So you're getting at least an hour's downtime and headspace, whereas we're not getting that now. So yeah, I would just kind of just make sure you look after yourself so that you can help look after others,
Yeah, that's excellent, David. Can I ask, looking a little bit further forward, if you have to look back on this experience, what would be the sort of big lessons or other, what kind of lessons would you take out of it that you might bring into the future that would be useful for yourselves? I know you arranged a digital gala in about 3 weeks, and I've just seen the promo video, so you've done an incredible job. So yeah, what things are you going to take out of this and bring into the future?
I think there's lots to it. From a society's perspective, outside of street soccer, I think we can all see that we still care about each other, and we're all still there for each other. The community spirit and community action that's happened over the last 10 weeks or 12 weeks wasn't really visible. I think we're all kind of too busy doing our own thing and kind of carrying on. So I think one of the positives from COVID is the increased awareness of each other, and realising that we all kind of need each other. And I suppose that the key message is fact is, it's great to look after each other in crisis, but let's kind of do that when things are good as well. Let's not wait till there's a crisis to start suddenly caring about our neighbours, our communities, or our frontline staff. Make sure that when things are good that we still do the same. From a street soccer perspective, the advancement of kind of digital, basically being able to do things online. The event that you mentioned, the gala dinner, with the idea came Saturday morning at 8:30, and then it led to a phone call to another phone call, and then 3 weeks later we delivered an event which raised over £70,000, with no cost. So there is opportunities out there to kind of create stuff and create new products and opportunities, but there's lots of learning. There's lots of learning in terms of, we know the situation. So if you look at Scotland, for example, there's been a big focus on food poverty. There's been meals going out to families and great charities doing great work all across Scotland. Big highlight on kind of child poverty and stuff like that as well. But in homelessness, the homelessness, a combination of the work of kind of government and charities of literally kind of ended rough sleeping to a point during COVID, because people, it was for safety reasons, obviously. But so the positive from that, for example, is we've shown how quickly we can act to kind of get people off the street and into some form of accommodation, which isn't the ideal place. We want people in their own homes and safe, like everyone. But it shows you how quickly we can react. And I think the positive from that is, if you're a charity leader now and you're trying to influence change, then you can actually say, well, we could do this during COVID. Why can't we do it now? Because in my eyes, homelessness is a crisis every day. If you're the person experiencing homelessness, you're in crisis. I've been there. So we need to identify that this is still a crisis after COVID. And the same goes for food poverty and child poverty. You know, 1 in 4 children living in poverty in Scotland before COVID. That'll have increased now because of people losing their jobs and the dip in the economy. So we need to prioritise that. That is a crisis. If kids are going to bed without any food in their belly at night, you know, that's not right. So I think societal, you know, like Scotland has a huge piece of work to do to make sure that we all kind of have some form of quality life, you know, whether it be children or eradicating the need for food. You know, everyone should have the opportunity to live a safe, healthy, comfortable life, and we need to make that our next priority after COVID. And then I say street soccer, sometimes, and you know this yourself, running an organisation, you know, often your best ideas come when your back's against the wall. You know, because if everything's going fine and swimming, you know, it's like, ah, that's good, blah, blah, blah. You kind of take your foot off the gas and it kind of halts your creativity because you know, you think everything's okay, but actually, I've always found that when my back's against the wall, I perform best, whether it be in business, you know, in sport. You know, I'm quite lackadaisical. I mean, I'm competitive, but I don't get competitive until I need to be. You know, it's that kind of, if I'm playing football or tennis, I'm always in second gear, third gear, until, you know, you need to kind of turn it up, and then. So I sometimes, that personally, I feel I perform better when I'm under pressure or, you know, up against it. And I think that probably resonates from as a child. You know, I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic. You know, I'd left school at 13, you know, and there was not a lot of opportunity for me, you know, and I had to kind of solve problems age 13, 14, just to generate income for the family, for the household, you know, and you were constantly trying to solve problems. So I think maybe that's kind of embedded a wee bit into me, so where I kind of seem to perform better when I need to solve problems.
Okay. David, I was just going to say, any final thoughts? Anything that you'll yeah, what are the plans for the next sort of 3 to 6 months? I know you say you don't want to try and control too much, which you can control, but what's
Yeah,
Scotland going to do in the next couple of months with all the different
yeah. Well, I
scenarios
mean,
kicking about?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the first things first is to get all the programs back up and running and making sure that the services are hopefully is back to some sort of normality or as closest to normal as we can. Like every organisation, we're going to have to rethink some of our financial strategy. You know, as a charity, we rely on a lot of kind of events and corporate income through sponsorship or delivering events, which looks like it's going to have a massive dip. So we need to kind of be creative and come up with new financial strategies in terms of how we generate income to keep the programs going and stuff like that. So that'll be in the kind of the back office side of it. Meanwhile, the guys will be out doing what they do best. We've got a great team, great supporters, great funders. Yeah, and we'll just review it. You know, we've got a 3-year strategy, which is obviously on hold just now because everything's about maintaining what's here just now. Right, it's really hard to grow during COVID, but yeah, there's always opportunity. You know, my first feeling of kind of COVID is one of, you know, kind of sadness and trying to think. I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts going out to people who are struggling just now, you know, and I know people are desperate and people are struggling and people are, you know, losing people, you know, from the health side of it. So that's at the forefront of my mind, but also you need to kind of have some sort of optimism about what the future looks like. And as I'd mentioned, the impact that we could have in our community with identifying that, look, this need was there before COVID, can we address that after? And that kind of togetherness and that kind of willingness for people who would normally not work together, you know, starting to say, right, okay, there's a greater cause here. You know, we need to forget about our organisation and focus on what our cause is or what our shared vision is. And if we can combine and we can work together as businesses, as governments, as charities, you know, if we all work together, then that vision of what better looks like can be more achievable.
Amazing. Well, David, plus I don't think I gave you the credit of your full time, David, Duke MBE. You're doing a...
I don't use it anyway, so it's fine.
I didn't think you probably get too much grief. What was I going to say? Thank you so much for your time. You're doing an amazing job. I'm going to take you off record now. Cheers.
Cool, man.